Welcome, everyone, back to a brand new edition of the NoDQ review. This is number 144. I know last week we took a week off and we did a NoDQ panel, which was like 2 hours long. I do not anticipate us going much more than an hour, maybe even less tonight. But welcome, everyone. And I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of NoDQ, featuring Aaron Rift, as always, Big G, as always. And welcome back, Colin Andrew. Is this your first review? I thought you've been on.
This is my first review. I've done panels, predictions, and Virtue's Rage back in the day, but this is my first review.
Well, welcome aboard. How you feeling, man?
Today's been an okay day. I got some sleep this afternoon, and it's for now I'm okay. Time, it can change like that. But right now,
this could be a grind, as you know, by being a moderator in the chat.
Yeah, so last week was a grind and a half. So
we got some stuff to talk about this week.
We do.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, and we'll get back to you. Big G, guess what? You are always happy to be, except at the end, after dark or after hours, whatever Aaron calls it.
Well, I made myself prepared today. I got myself a nice cold beer just to prepare myself.
Life is good.
That, I am doing good. Wedding plans are still a go. We got some wrestling to talk about, and let's get this ball rolling.
All right. Well, it's good to have you here, and I know you're happy to be here. Did you get that shirt ready yet, Aaron, for him?
We're working on it.
What's up, Aaron? How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to have Colin back in the fold with us. He's done some predictions video. This is his first time on the review, and I love that shirt, Big G. Definitely fits the mood. It's all about the evolution of WWE and AEW as we get closer to live events returning, just a couple of weeks away. We are a bit in a lame duck period, and hopefully once things get rolling again with the live events, we'll start to see WWE and AEW back on track. And in the meantime, we got a lot of topics to discuss. Let's go ahead and get started.
Well, let's get this out of the way. We'll quickly go over our thoughts. I know you already do this, Aaron, about Hell in a Cell, since that was last Sunday. Now, interestingly enough, the Roman Reigns-Rey Mysterio match made Smackdown. So apparently Roman Reigns did not want to work on Father's Day. Now, you don't know if they did it for a ratings grab. I think Smackdown finally got back over 2 million. But nonetheless, they put that match on Smackdown. Roman retained, as we knew he was going to. But let's go over the actual pay-per-view. Now, without that match on the pay-per-view, I mean, I was already like a 5 out of 10, I think, on the predictions. That dropped me down to like a 3. And no disrespect to the talent. I mean, I'm looking down the results here. The women's Hell in a Cell match, it was what it was. I mean, we've obviously seen better, but Bianca retained. Nothing was wrong with it. It just kind of, when you see that match on SmackDown, now I felt at least like I was watching a Raw or SmackDown, not a special event. I did enjoy Rollins and Cesaro. I know a lot of people were wondering, well, there goes Cesaro's push. Rollins got the win. I like Rollins in this new, just always being weird and eccentric now, wearing the different weird clothes. Give him a win. He's put a lot of people over lately. I mean, Cesaro, he is what he is, right? It's not going to really ever change. That's just how I see it. Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler. Sorry, Big G. I'm going to come to you first, by the way.
Now, real quick before Big G goes, I figured we could tie this in to our discussion. Dwayne Atkinson sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Dwayne. He says, the 4 Hell in a Cell matches in 4 days, rank them best to worst. So maybe we could do that as we give our final thoughts on Hell in a Cell.
Geez.
Yeah, because what was the one on Raw? It was
Woods and Lashley.
Xavier Woods and Lashley, yeah. Or should we say Ashley?
Ashley.
But Sami Zayn and Owens, they always put on a good match. Sami went over there. Owens might be taking some time off or is going to take some time off, so we'll see. He's a good family man, I hear. Charlotte, disqualification over Rhea Ripley. That's just weird when you want to – maybe she doesn't want titles. Maybe she just wants dominance.
Wants the title in front of a live crowd.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you know how they delay things. And of course, Lashley retained against Drew. That's just kind of like a broken record at this point. Again, I just wish that even if it led off the show that the Reigns Mysterio match was on the pay-per-view, it just felt like this was an extension of a Raw or SmackDown. Big G.
Yes.
Hell in a Cell thoughts here.
Honestly, I think the Hell in a Cell matches are way overexposed now. I remember when the Hell in a Cell match would end a feud. You know, right now, Bayley and Bianca, they're in the middle of a feud. Drew and Bobby, you know, they finished their feud, hopefully, in the Hell in a Cell. And both the matches were decent, but Becky and Bianca and Bayley could have been a little bit better. Shayna losing to Alexa Bliss. You know, I'm trying to give Shayna a chance again, and Alexa Bliss honestly needed the win a little bit more than Shayna, but hopefully Shayna.
Why do you say that, Big G? Just because Shayna had that run with the tag titles, or?
Well,
I'm just curious why you think Alexa deserved it more, needed it more.
Well, I read on NoDQ.com that Aaron posted about an article about Shayna saying that she's pretty much doing what they ask her to play this role as whatever she's doing right now. And I feel Shayna should be a badass. So
she's playing this role. Loss doesn't really matter. It's not like it was her badass. I get you. I got you. Okay.
So Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they always deliver. You know, back in the day, in the early '80s, '70s, we had feuds that went on for well over 2 years, and here we are complaining about seeing match after match after match. But back then, you know, people enjoyed seeing Flair and Steamboat and Dusty and Flair and all of them fight, you know, all over, you know, the territories. But when we see Charlotte and Rhea for like the millionth time, we complain about it.
It's on TV, that's why. Those other matches were house shows, different
house shows.
But no, you're right, and that's how they perfected their match for television. They wrestled each other on all the house shows, and then boom, by the time they got to TV, it looked really good.
And like I said before, I am not feeling Rhea Ripley as Raw Women's Champion. It doesn't feel the same like NXT UK and NXT, you know, she was honing her craft, but I don't have the same vibe that I got from her. And Colin can probably agree with me here. I just don't feel the same vibe that I did with NXT UK and NXT. So Charlotte being, you know, the 13-time women's champion, I'm okay with, you know. She is a Flair, so why not give it to her? And then if I rank these Hell in a Cell matches from the past 4 days, the bottom one will be Lashley and Xavier Woods because I did not watch Raw Monday, or I did, but I just completely gave up on it. Third would be Bianca and Bayley, Drew and Lashley, and then Roman and Ray. There you go.
Well, thank you. Now, Aaron, I know you already covered this on your recap, but I'll come over to you if you have anything you want to add and a super chat.
Okay, let me get to the super chats first. Psycho Jet Black, here we go, sent in $2, says, at least Shayna is still more over than Ricochet.
I don't know. Ricochet is getting quite a push now. So
yeah, he is. He did qualify for Money in the Bank, and you know, with the fans,
and Shayna didn't.
Well, there's always next week. Keep that in mind.
True.
And we also have a super chat here, $4 from Dwayne. Thank you, Dwayne. Says, what if Drew McIntyre wins Money in the Bank? Then what happens? That happens then. I think that he should be able to go for any title. Like, that should override the stipulation. Otherwise, you water down the Money in the Bank contract and the importance of it. If there's certain exceptions, then why even bother with the Money in the Bank? Like, the idea is that it's a guarantee title opportunity anywhere, anytime against any champion. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if Drew's going to be the guy. He might not even qualify. He is in that second chance match next week. Now, I gave Money in the Bank a B-, which a lot of people thought was generous. I did think it
Money
was
in the
better.
Bank or Hell in a Cell?
Hell in a Cell. I always mix the two up. They just sound.
You were
the same.
talking about Money in the Bank. That's why.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hell in a Cell, B- for me. And I've been pretty generous overall with the pandemic pay-per-views. It was still one of my bottom tier as far as the letter grades. I looked back at that list that we did last week, and it was probably like the 4th or 5th lowest rated pay-per-view for me out of all the pandemics. But I think that it had a pretty solid card from start to finish. Yeah, the finishes brought it down a bit, but I did enjoy the show, and I'm not going to complain too much about 2-hour, 45-minute pay-per-views. To me, it's not a very big deal. Now, as far as the rankings of the pay-per-view cell matches and the TV cell matches, all 4 of them, I think the bottom one would clearly be Lashley versus Xavier Woods. It was good, but wasn't anything special. Then I'd probably go with the Bobby Lashley Drew McIntyre match just because of that DQ finish. We're not a DQ finish, like the interference with the roll up. It's almost like a DQ. It's that unsatisfying. That would be my third place, and then second place would probably be Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio. Good match, and Reigns won decisively, which was a positive. And then my first place would be, I think, Bianca Belair versus Bayley. I thought they had a really good cell match. Shanti sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Shanti. Says, you guys should do a show where you pick an old school pay-per-view on the network where you do a review as a team. Like do a retro review, maybe shows that are pre-NoDQ. I would be open to the idea. We could potentially try something like that at some point. I know whenever we have free time for a live stream, I think the idea is to try and do a debate, but we might have to change things up at some point, and maybe that's something we can go with if we want to go in a different direction as far as the live streams go and just do something different for a change. But yeah, overall, it was okay pay-per-view. Hell in a Cell wasn't the worst pay-per-view I ever saw, but I've definitely seen better.
Now, Colin, I gave the pay-per-view a D because no Roman, and I knew I wasn't gonna enjoy it anyway. So, looking at what I graded everything else on the panel last week, I thought D puts it like 3rd or 4th from the bottom. So, what do you think on this?
I think I gave it a C or a C-. I can't remember going back, but I'm so overplayed on the gimmick pay-per-view. It doesn't matter what the match is. I don't want to see it 2-3 times in the night. I don't want to see it 4 times in 3 days. Especially since the cell is red now, it is so hard to see through that thing. It's an eyesore. But I'm going to have to agree with Aaron on the order because Woods and Lashley was good. It was different. Woods, the offense right off the rip was really good. I knew he had no chance in hell in winning, but whatever. Then Lashley and McIntyre. I'm overseeing Drew in the main event picture right now. I think somebody else needs to step up. He needs to take a little step back, work the mid card, and then go back. Reigns and Mysterio, good match. Surprise. I was going on Smackdown. Really surprised. But in the end, those 2 women, Bianca Belair and Bayley, they really, really pulled it off. And, that was probably the best match of the night for me of the card. And not sure, again, what they're doing with this Alexa Bliss stuff because crowds are coming back. How are they going to work it in? Shayna Baszler, at this point, she just needs to go to SmackDown where they do the draft and have a restart, and we'll see you later. Big G, I will agree with you on the whole Rhea Ripley thing with Charlotte and everything. If you look back to December 2019 when she won the NXT championship compared to now, her vibe, everything about her presence, her look is just completely 180.
Like Tito said in the on the comment, like she's overdoing that Punk. Like
to an extent, yeah.
It's like I'm just not feeling it.
But question: when in the hell did bouncing somebody off the announcer's table become a disqualification?
I don't know. Orton does it all the time.
Exactly.
No. He throws people on the table, but when you pick up the piece of the table and use it, that's when it is not legal.
Still.
My God.
But you can throw them into the steel steps? I mean,
as long as you don't pick up the steps. If it's just
whatever.
there
Still,
and
it was a really stupid finish. Really, really stupid. But I guess we're going to get match 3. And again, it worked back in the day because everything wasn't televised. So we're not seeing every week the same segments, just remixed a little bit. So, but yeah, I mean, Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, let's take it away. Bring the match back to something importance, to end a feud, to end a great rivalry. Like, just do something with it because you're ruining it. Same thing with Elimination Chamber, Money in the Bank. Okay, whatever. We see it one time a year. That's fine. It was better at Mania, but there you go. But yeah, I think I gave it a C or a C minus.
Here's how I rank them. 4th was Lashley and Xavier Woods. 3rd, I think I'm going to put Lashley and McIntyre. 2nd, I'll put the women's match in. 1st, Roman, just because Roman was in it. But I mean, nothing was memorable to me out of any of them. So to me, it's a moot point to even rank these 4.
Yeah,
now,
I would say the Sasha Banks and Bayley match from last year was better than the Bayley and Bianca Belair one.
Yep.
So yeah, the match last year was better than all 4.
Right? Yeah. Now, this next topic. This is interesting. So, as we know, Roman and Ray ended up having the Hell in a Cell match on Fox, on Smackdown, okay, which to me watered down the pay-per-view. Now, USA is like, what? We don't get where's our Hell in a Cell match? Like, rightfully so, because NBC Universal, they pay so much money to WWE for their content. They're seeing Fox, a completely different network, get something they didn't. And yes, they have a piece of the WWE network on Peacock. Right, Aaron, is USA owned by NBC Universal, I believe?
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
So is USA justified in wanting a Hell in a Cell match? And, of course, they get the scraps. Nothing against Xavier Woods, but clearly thrown together just to appease the network heads. What's everybody's thoughts on this? This can be a quick topic, but, Colin, I'll come right back to you.
All right. Well, I mean, USA Network is definitely justified because from January 11th, 1993 to September 18th, 2000, and then October 3rd, 2005 till now, WWE RAW has been on the USA Network. And they also housed Smackdown from January 7th, 2016 to September 27th, 2019. So they have all rights to be pissed because the way I look at it is you have an employee that has been at your place for a long time. And what do you see nowadays? Oh, sign-on bonuses, hire on. If you stay this much, you get $500, yada, yada, yada. That's what Fox is. Fox is the new employee that's getting all the perks. While the USA Network that's been holding it down for years is getting the shit end of the stick. So they have all right to be mad. The match itself was definitely thrown together. And they could have honestly announced something. They had time to announce that Roman versus Ray was going to be put on SmackDown. Then they could have put out a tweet saying, hey, because they only put in or drew in 1.719 million viewers this past week for Raw. So, and even with SmackDown getting their Hell in a Cell match advertised, only got 2.04 million, just over 2. And that's on national network. So, but yeah, USA Network definitely has all the right in the world to be like, yo, what gives?
Yep. I mean, ratings are all in a vacuum. I mean, the SmackDown goes down and dipped under 2 million. Raw was going lower, record lows. Dynamite, yes, it was on Friday, but it was getting, it wasn't pulling over everybody, or at least 80% of what they had on Wednesday nights. So really, WWE is, if they keep dipping, all of wrestling dips, and we want to see it going the other way. So, Big G, what do you think right here? I agree with Colin. Like, he made great points there that USA has always been there for WWE,
right?
For Raw. and they're kind of like the redheaded stepchild now.
Yeah, it kind of like threw me off like at the beginning of Raw when Xavier said, it's going to be in a Hell in a Cell match, and they did not advertise anything, but SmackDown had advertised it like the night before, and like Colin said, Raw has been there through thick and thin since the beginning of Raw up till now. They had SmackDown on there as well, like he said. I mean, Colin made some great points. I really can't say anything else that he hasn't said, but I mean, I understand where NBC is coming from. They've, like I said, they've been there pretty much through the beginning, and they literally are getting pushed to the back with Fox being the new child, pretty much. So
money always talks, but loyalty goes a long way too. But I mean, the way WWE operates now, they take money from anybody, and that. I mean,
this is what I'm thinking. Vince is probably thinking
Saudi Arabia,
SmackDown. You got one. Raw, here you go. We'll just give you some throwaway Hell in a Cell match so you can just shut your pie hole and keep on going.
Yeah, they could have had a little bit. Again, nothing against Xavier Woods, but just I'm surprised. Is Kofi injured? I'm surprised it wasn't Kofi.
They're saving him for Money in the Bank.
But still, though, if they were going to do that to appease USA, they could have put guys that you knew were in that. I don't know. Anyway, Aaron, what do you want to add to this?
First of all, if you're going to do a Hell in a Cell match on Raw or SmackDown, why not announce it like a week in advance?
Right.
Announcing it the night before seems a bit silly, and they barely.
They were catering the complaint, I think.
Yeah. Well, both shows, I think you should have had at least a week advance notice if you're going to do a Hell in a Cell match.
I think Roman told Vince, "I ain't working on Father's Day. Get me off the card."
I have no idea if that was the case or not. Who knows? I think it was just a ratings ploy, and it didn't really do much. And they've oversaturated the stipulation. We got 4 in the span of 4 days, and they were all okay matches, but nothing special.
If Meltzer would have said, "Oh, Roman didn't want to work on Father's Day," it would be the truth. It would have at least a 1% chance. But when I say it, 0.
Correct.
Dave Meltzer's a bitch. All right, go ahead, Aaron.
Somebody who's nobody's bitch, Mr. Tito, sent in a $2 super chat. Says, "Did Big G watch SummerSlam '88 for the Elizabeth?"
Oh yeah. You're supposed to.
All right, so I guess we'll get into that in just a second here, but let me finish my thought on that. Fox is paying a lot of money for SmackDown, more than what USA is paying for Raw. So at the end of the day, WWE, their priority is going to be Fox, and that's unfortunate for USA Network because Raw, USA, it's been a partnership that is, as Colin mentioned, going way back to the beginning of Raw. And even before that, USA Network was broadcasting WWE events well before that. But at the end of the day, if USA Network wants to be upset with WWE, it should be over the content of the shows, not whether there's a Hell in a Cell match or not.
That's a good point, Aaron. It should be for the crappy creative.
All right, so let's throw it over to Big G or Virtue. Did you have anything else to add to this before Big G?
No,
about his
I mean,
homework?
Yeah, it's a money thing, and they were, you could say it was a ratings ploy, whatever. They did it. They still ended up having 4 cell matches in the span of 3 days. Way too many.
Right.
Yeah.
Way too overexposed.
Way too many. Big G, SummerSlam '88. Are you supposed to comment on it?
Yes. So I did watch this. Honestly, this was the first time I watched SummerSlam '88 all the way through. I enjoyed it thoroughly. When I did watch the main event, though, I did know what when I saw that moment with Elizabeth when she yanked her dress off and distracted everybody, Ted DiBiase and everybody on that side, and Andre the Giant, and I had when I saw it, I instantly recognized it. I had seen it before on different shows on WWE Network, and it is what it is. I mean, she did her job as a valet back then. She distracted the opposing team, Macho Man hit that Macho Man elbow drop. Hogan hit that leg drop, and then 1, 2, 3.
See, the Mega Powers needed a secret weapon because Jesse Ventura was the referee, and
they had showed the whole storyline before how Ted DiBiase was trying to pay off Jesse, the Body Ventura, and in the end he hit the 1-2, and Macho Man was like, "No, you're putting that 3 down, brother." So.
And plus, WWE had a little tease for the eventual breakup because at the end of the match, Randy Savage picks her up on his shoulder, and she's kind of like falling a little bit, and Hogan's got to make sure
he's got his hand on her ass. Yeah,
very subtle, but they did reference that.
But that it was cool seeing. I hadn't really watched many matches back then. Seeing Jake the Snake Roberts in his prime and JYD and all those.
Well, JYD was not in his prime at that.
Oh, not in his prime per se, but his WWE career. I had never really seen anything prior to WWE with JYD, and so it was very good. I'm working on SummerSlam '89 right now. I'm trying to brush up on some of the older pay-per-views since we're heading into the summer. So
yeah, might as well go on a binge for SummerSlam.
Big G, what a story arc with Macho Man and Elizabeth from WrestleMania 3 and 4-ish era all the way to SummerSlam 91 or whenever they got married. That's how you do wrestling. And they really didn't have writing back then. It was just kind of Vince McMahon booking stuff.
Right. So let me correct me if I'm wrong. Do they have the same writing teams for Raw and SmackDown? Or do they have two different?
They got a lot of different writers. Who knows who does what? We just know that Bruce Pritchard's up there in charge, Vince McMahon.
I watched that SummerSlam '88 pay-per-view, and I was hooked. That's how you build storylines up. Nowadays, like we've mentioned before, we've seen Drew McIntyre on the title picture since Royal Rumble.
Because Vince was motivated, Big G. He was trying, during that whole early WrestleMania era, he was trying to make WWE Global huge. And then, of course, look what happened in the mid-'90s. It tanked. He was motivated again because of WCW. Right. And then look what happened. It thrived. Right. He needs to be motivated. That's when he's at his best. When he's not motivated, he puts out crappy wrestling.
And I think he's even admitted recently that he knows the product gets stale. So I don't know if he's waiting for – I think he's waiting for the crowds to come back, and hopefully we get something better than Dewdrop.
But it could be 3 weeks of things being better, and then after SummerSlam, I mean, we will have the draft, so they got some stuff, but I'm worried about like the end of September, October, November, like that period where it's gonna get cold again.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll move on here. So Matt Riddle defeats Drew McIntyre, and this was a Money in the Bank qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron, I'm on record saying he's Matt Riddle's Vince McMahon's boy toy. He likes the goofiness of the stoner gimmick, and he probably likes how Matt Riddle, wrestles in bare feet and small little tights. And he has great matches, or at least very good matches. He's all the different things Riddle does in a match. It's quite impressive. I know some people said, that looked unsafe. That he hasn't broken his feet yet. He's gotten busted open. I think Sheamus did it to him at WrestleMania. But Riddle's a good hand. He's a good worker. Is he a WrestleMania main event like Robbie says he's not? Probably not. Could he get a big match at WrestleMania against like a Goldberg one day? I think so. I just want everyone's thoughts here because I'm not saying he's going to win Money in the Bank, but he went over Drew. Is this just a cool down for Drew? Or is Matt Riddle maybe catching Vince McMahon's eye? Aaron, I'll come to you first on this one.
It would be interesting to see if Matt Riddle actually won Money in the Bank. I would be happy with it. I think that he has definitely come into his own on the main roster. I think Randy Orton has brought out the best in him. Some of those Riddle segments earlier this year were really hard to watch, but I will say I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of the Matt Riddle and Randy Orton storyline. I definitely think they play off each other well, and if anybody can elevate Riddle and help him get to the next level, it's Randy Orton. Randy Orton's been there for many years. He's a veteran now. And if those two work together for the next 6 months, I think that's very good for Riddle's future. And if he does win Money in the Bank, I think that's a real sign that they see something in him beyond just being that stoner character. We'll have to wait and see who else gets added. But of the people in the match right now, yeah, I would say that Riddle is the early favorite to win this match and possibly get a title opportunity sometime down the line. You know, they don't have to have him cash in right away. He could hold it until early next year, and we can see if he continues to build up momentum as a character or if he just falls flat. Like with Otis, it very quickly. I mean, it was a questionable decision from the get-go, but Otis really never went anywhere with the briefcase. And maybe if there were fans, he would have had a better run with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Maybe things would have turned out differently. But yeah, if the fans are behind Riddle and he wins it, I could see him getting to the next level. He definitely has the skill to do it. It's a matter of, can they make that character a main event caliber character without it being too goofy and over the top? That remains.
That's hard to say. And
yeah,
Colin. So Tito says Orton's elevated nobody, and to a point, it's, you know, wrestlers used to be able to elevate people when the booking and the creative was good around them. So with Riddle and this Orton thing, I agree with Tito. Like, Riddle's not getting elevated by anything right now, other than maybe getting wins you wouldn't think he would normally get. What needs to happen, and I said this before, you know, we can see this go to where Orton turns on him, RKO, ha ha ha, I'm Randy Orton, and that's just blah. Riddle, like, in this relationship when it ends, because usually they do, he needs to turn on Orton and drop it and be serious, like I mentioned before. Then I would disagree with Tito and say now Orton elevated Riddle, but Riddle would have to ditch the tone, the stoner gimmick, maybe get new wardrobe. I don't know if he'd wear boots or not, and literally talk like he's going to kick people's asses like a UFC match. What do you think here, Colin?
I don't think he needs boots. All he needs to do, honestly, is just.
I just said that because some people hate the bare feet.
You know, they do what they do. I mean, anybody in, you know, any type of karate or taekwondo or anything like that, you're barefoot 9 times out of 10. So suck it. You know, he grew up in an MMA environment, and that's the way he rolls. That's the way he's comfortable. Who cares? But if he is going to snap, just tape up his fists and call it a day, because he could be a literal badass if he wanted to be. And if they wrote him that way, because I know
Colin, you know, he once had the record in UFC, MMA in general, for the most strikes landed in a match. Now that's since been broke, but hell, he
can make that work. And when you said boy toy, it made me think of Shawn Michaels. So just real quick, Riddle's 6'2", 216 pounds. Shawn Michaels was 6'1", 225 pounds. Both long blonde hair, you know, etc. So maybe, you know, Vince sees a little bit of that look in him. But at the same time, Randy Orton really hasn't been doing much for Riddle. But in the end, it hopefully will pay off because, if Orton turns on him, it's just going to be the same old shtick. Yeah. And you can make a real star by doing this. And hopefully that's what Randy wants to do at this point in his career. If not, why the hell team up with him? And supposedly, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Randy want to work with Riddle?
Yes. Yeah, that's what we hear.
So.
And maybe he's the bro toy, not the boy toy. Well, all right. Well, thank you, Colin, there. And Big G, you're last. So this is going to be just agreeing with all of us. Or do you have some insight on this?
Well, like I said before, I've enjoyed Matt Riddle since he debuted in NXT. His character wasn't as goofy on NXT. I mean, he teamed with Pete Dunne, you know, and you had the Bruiserweights. And then he came up onto the main roster. And like you mentioned before, or Virtue, you know, Vince must have just watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And like Riddle became really, really goofy. But I feel like he's still goofy, but he's starting to tone it down a little bit with Orton being around him. And Riddle's always been a badass in the ring. I would like for him to win Money in the Bank. That'd be a cool thing. He could do so much with the Money in the Bank briefcase. I would have preferred Riddle to stay U.S. champion for a little bit longer to have a lengthy reign, but I could see him winning it back again eventually, and maybe even be in the world title picture. Would he win the world title? Probably, maybe not. Depends on how Vince feels about Matt Riddle at the time. And right now, Vince is feeling pretty high about Matt Riddle. Like you had the bro toy.
I see what you did there.
We're making stuff.
We got a $2 super chat from Brendan. He says, Riddle doesn't wear boots because he frostbite.
That's some storyline booty hootie that he had said. He doesn't wear boots because he has frostbite. Okay. But yeah, Riddle is awesome in the ring, and I would like to see Riddle turn heel. That'd be something different and completely drop this whole stoner gimmick like you guys all mentioned, and just be I'm not too sure about, taping up his hands, but, just being one tough SOB and just pretty much laying people out left and right and saying, you know what, I'm going to be world champion one day.
Right. Steven said in the chat room from Facebook, he said, get rid of the scooter.
Yeah, the scooter, it's like when he comes out with Orton, you can see he has to slow down to stay with Orton, because I know if he gets in front of Orton's going to be like, "This is about me. This is not about you right now."
But I will say, I thought Riddle chasing Miz in the wheelchair was pretty funny.
We take what we can get nowadays, all right, Aaron?
Yeah.
For any humor,
the standards are so low. So yeah. You're right.
Well, you ready to move on, Big G?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Riddle, riddle me this. We will see what happens. His first name went out the window a long time ago. All right. Aleister Black back in the news, possibly, maybe, returning to WWE. Would he be better off in AEW? So we'll just make this short and sweet. Aleister Black, free agent, come back to WWE. However that would work with releasing him, that's kind of strange, but it's happened before. Or AEW, like everybody is rumored to go to, and a lot have. Big G, I'll come right back to you.
Well, if he comes back to WWE, he needs to be, I guess, treated better and used better. Right before he left, he was starting a feud with Big E, and now Big E is suddenly back in the Intercontinental Championship title run. If he goes to AEW, that's just another body AEW has, and somebody else getting pushed to AEW Dark or Elevation to have, Tom. I'm gonna go with his Tommy End being on AEW. He's coming to Baltimore October time still, I believe, for this what's the word I'm thinking of? Like a celeb fest, but you have all these wrestlers there, and he's supposed to be there come October. So if he comes back, something like that.
WrestleFest.
It's something wrestling related, where you have a whole bunch of wrestlers there for autographs and photo signings and whatnot. But if he goes back to WWE, that'd be cool. But they just need to use him more properly than they did, before he got released. And yeah, Samoa Joe got released, and he's back at NXT. I could see Aleister Black going back down to NXT. I think he would fit better down there. And then as time gradually goes on, if he wants to go back to the main roster, then he can go back to the main roster. So there you go.
Aaron, did we ever find out what happened with Zelina Vega? Was that just a false rumor of her maybe coming back or showing up at the Performance Center?
Nobody really knows what the deal is with her, but I suspect that wherever Aleister Black, Tommy Yen goes, that's where Zelina Vega will go. I feel like she'll probably be in AEW, and I think he will probably be in AEW. WWE really dropped the ball with him, and I'm not sure what they had planned long term. Clearly, it was not important enough to keep him around, but I think that taking away his entrance with him coming out of the coffin, that sort of thing, like, to me, that really hurt him a lot. He had some momentum with that entrance, and he had a cool look. And
they did with Cross on main event this past week.
Yeah, well, I hope that's just a trial run, and that wasn't something that they're going to do whenever he ends up on the main roster as a regular thing, because that was bad. Like, he needs Scarlett with him, and he needs that entrance if he's going to have any chance on the main roster. If they bring him out there on Raw and he just does that, like, nobody's going to take him seriously. It's the entrance where people are like, holy cow. Like, that's what we want to see. We want to see that entrance with 15,000 people. We don't want to see him coming out there just walking down to the ring with no fanfare or anything. You know, we want to see that crazy ass entrance. And that's what Aleister Black had. He had like one of the best entrances in the company. Pretty cool music. They were apparently going to change his music. Who knows? It's so hard to say if it would have worked or not, because we're still in the Thunderdome era. You know, you don't know if something's really working or not. You can only go by what people say on the internet. You don't know if it's something that catches on with the live crowd or not. So hard to say, but my feeling is he's going to end up in AEW.
And we will find out here very soon, or maybe in a few months. All right, Colin, over to you. Kind of remind me of Aleister Black.
Real quick, before Colin goes, Mr. Tito says entrance does not make a good wrestler. Well, depends on what your criteria for a good wrestler is. If a good wrestler is just the guy who wrestles, then yeah, you're right. But if a good wrestler is somebody who has all the attributes and is an overall superstar, then entrance can make a good wrestler. Look at The Undertaker or a Bill Goldberg or any of these guys. The entrances are a big part of the act. And yeah, Undertaker definitely had some great matches in his career, but he also had a lot of stinkers. And I think what kept him going for so many years, especially in the 90s, was the fact that he had the coolest entrance in wrestling. Like, would The Undertaker have even lasted to that glory period where he's having those killer matches with Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton and Edge and all those guys? Would he even gotten that far if it wasn't for that entrance? It's hard to say.
Do we want to do these super chats or pass to Colin to finish his topic?
Let's get the super chats out of the way.
I'm ready.
We'll give Colin a minute or two to brew his thoughts.
I got notes already.
Well, I appreciate that. Mike D with the $2 super chat says, Virtue put Mo Camera in his place about Roman. We'll get to that in just a second here, but I'm sure Virtue will say something. Mo Camera's just going off in the chat room about Roman Reigns. And
hi, Mo.
Hi, Mo. Sent in a $2 super chat, says, I feel that Karrion Kross will be the new Mark Marrow. Interesting.
Ooh.
I mean, we'll see. Maybe Scarlett gets a big push and Karrion Kross just fades away into nothing. Who knows? Anyways, we're caught up now.
Okay, Colin, I'll let you finish this Aleister Black topic before I address Mo Boy. So
Gotcha. All right, so Aleister Black, a one-time NXT champion, a breakout superstar of the year, a feud of the year, and a Dusty Classic winner in NXT. You know, he's got good credentials. I was there at Fastlane 2019 when he teamed with Ricochet against FTR, and I can't remember, but it was a great match. His ovation was great. He had the entrance, though. So if he goes back to WWE, his best bet is to get thrown back into tank of NXT. And this is honestly what I would do. He made his name overseas, where he grew up. You know, he's from Netherlands, right? Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. And NXT UK, you have Walter, who's held that belt for over 800 days now. Who are you going to bring in to take it off of him? Aleister Black is a huge name. He can come in as that face, work there for a while. Because if you think about it, NXT UK, they film 2, 3, 4 episodes in one day. So he can fly over, do his thing, come back, hang out for a couple weeks, and then go back. Kind of the same idea I pitched with Ciampa when he was going against Walter several months back. That, you know, could be cool. And then he can come back to NXT and then go back to either SmackDown or Raw. But if he went to AEW, he could have a really great run there as Tommy End. He could have some really good matches with people like Darby Allin and Ethan Page. Definitely TNT Championship material, but I don't see AEW Championship material. It's just the way AEW is oversaturated right now with people from all over. You never know what you're going to get. And, he's an ex-WWE guy, and they love to promote their ex-WWE guys, but I just don't see it going with that. But either way, I just want to see it back on my screen. He's a fantastic talent. He did his stuff back in WXW before he even got to NXT. Just go back and watch some of that stuff, and you'll see why. So, and him and Walter had some bangers there too. So,
yeah, and we'll find out. He'll pop up somewhere, and Aaron will post it, and we'll be talking about it. So, we got a couple topics left. Oh, Mo. Hey, Mo. I don't really have much to say, but I'll give you a little nursery rhyme here, like Andrew Dice Clay style, but it won't be rated X. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Roman Reigns is the best, in case you didn't know. I mean, that's all I'm going to give you. I didn't even see you doing Mo Money with Super Chat, so I'm not going to give you much effort. So there you go. I acknowledged you there. I acknowledged you. Okay. Moving on here, semi-main event. This kind of just popped up, but The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, John Cena said, I'm definitely coming back to WWE. We all knew this, but we heard it, and he said he just don't know when. So any speculation, Big G, I'll come over to you.
Well, we've been talking about it for months, weeks. John.
It's nice to hear it from the horse's mouth, though, isn't it?
It is. I did watch the clip. I was on TikTok earlier, and they had it on there. It was on YouTube, Facebook, wherever. It was all over the place. I could see him coming back during SummerSlam. Big. They're trying to make it bigger than WrestleMania, and then who bigger than John Cena, right? Have John Cena versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title, and have Roman Reigns go over John Cena and continue his dominance as the tribal chief and head of the table. And hopefully John Cena will acknowledge him. Now, it would be nice to see John Cena as a 17-time champion to beat Ric Flair's quote-unquote record.
What would make it nice? Just because it's a record?
Just because it's a record, and I'm sure.
Will you be doing this and stuff like while it's happening?
God, no. I don't understand the fascination of this. It drives me crazy. It really does. Nothing against John Cena. He's good in the ring, but his time has come. It's Roman Reigns' time. So
wait, didn't John Cena sing that in his entrance song?
His time is up.
Something like that, yeah.
See what I did there? It's Roman's time. So I feel John Cena has done everything that he can in the WWE. He's Fast 9 is coming out this weekend. He's got the Suicide Squad coming out in August. I think he did the Peacemaker for HBO Max. He's more focused on, movies and stuff right now. Yeah, he can come back every once in a while and wrestle, but he does not need to win the match. He can put over the younger talent. And Roman Reigns and John Cena at SummerSlam would make up for their match back at No Mercy, I believe. So there you go. Roman, acknowledge him.
Colin, do you think the first SmackDown that's live in front of crowd again, you think that's where we see Cena? I don't know if anything's been confirmed yet. Do you think we get it as soon as SummerSlam, or is he just planting the seed for beyond that?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we call SummerSlam like the biggest party of the summer or something like that?
I mean, and they're obviously this year more than ever because where they're having it.
Right.
And they're having it in Vegas. You got to have a big party in
football
Vegas.
Stadium.
And he's having supposedly the biggest blockbuster of the summer with Fast 9 coming out tomorrow.
I know.
Honestly, I see it. I see it happening, and I want to see Roman just annihilate him, like Brock Lesnar 2014 SummerSlam annihilation.
Colin, Tito's like, Cena already put Reigns over at No Mercy. That's like No Mercy. It's No Mercy.
That was a face Roman Reigns too. This is the
But like,
dominant.
and would you agree with me? Like putting someone over, passing that torch, isn't it supposed to be at a bigger event, just with more like title on the line? You know,
that, and right now Roman's character, the way it's evolved, I think it would mean a lot more for Roman to get that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to build up Roman versus The Rock, you need to have him completely wipe out everybody in his way. And that's the best way to do it. And John's in that scenario where he can come back in a couple of years once he does a couple more movies. You know, we haven't seen how Fast 9 ends, but supposedly 10 and 11 are happening. Definitely 10. But, you know, he could be casted into those and doing his thing. But he has the opportunity to come back. He's young enough to come back and get number 17 at a different time. It is not time for him to get 17 now over Roman. But if you're not bringing back somebody big like Brock Lesnar to face Bobby Lashley, you need that big star pop for somebody coming into the big, huge pay-per-view that's supposed to be big like WrestleMania, the biggest party of the summer. You need that superstar, that caliber of superstar, and definitely needs to happen at SummerSlam.
All right. Thank you, Colin. Over to you, Aaron.
All right, we do have a few super chats, so I'll get to those real quick. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, imagine if Roman Reigns tapped out John Cena. I'd love to see it. I remember when Hulk Hogan tapped out to Kurt Angle in 2002, and that was like the only time Hulk Hogan ever tapped out to somebody. That would be something. If SummerSlam ended with Cena giving up, the one thing he always says he never gives up, man, that would really put Roman Reigns on the map. And yes, this is different from No Mercy. That was babyface John Cena passing the torch to babyface Roman Reigns. This is a different scenario, and I have no problem with Cena coming in, and I think that they should do this match for SummerSlam, and Roman should beat him, and then Cena can come back maybe for WrestleMania and challenge the other champion and try to win that 17th title. I think he will get there eventually. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. He says, who's more over, Mo Camera or Mo Sizlak? Mo Sizlak, of course, from The Simpsons. I would say that any Mo is more over than Mo Camera. Mo Sizlak, Mo Howard,
Mo
any
Butts.
Mo out there. Mo from Auto Parts.
Mo Butts.
Is it Auto Parts? What's the store with Mo? Does anybody know?
No.
No?
Well, I know there's a Mo's restaurant. I know that.
Well,
See you later, Mo.
we got
Flo from Progressive is more over than Mo.
all right. Matt sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you. Matt says, I know characters need to evolve in wrestling, but to your knowledge, has there ever been a heel that never became a baby face? Maybe Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts was a face for several years. I mean, not like your Hulk Hogan style baby face. Like it was more like he stayed with that character, the dark character who really wasn't, kissing babies and that sort of thing. But he would bring the snake out and dump the snake on the bad guys like Bobby Heenan and Andre the Giant. So he was technically a baby face.
Aaron, $1 Million Man, was he ever a baby? I don't think so.
Maybe now.
Yes,
But I mean, during his run, I don't think so.
No, never during his run in WWE. And we do have a $5 super chat from Mr. Tito. Thank you, Tito. He says, remember The Rock beat John Cena at WrestleMania 28. Cena may defeat Roman at SummerSlam to set up a big rematch. Yeah, it's possible, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, there's no need for Cena to beat Reigns. Absolutely no good reason to do that. You have so many other guys you can build up for Roman Reigns. And Sean says you guys act like Roman Reigns will be champion forever. I don't think he should be champion forever, but I think he should have the longest title reign of anybody. With this character, I think you should run with it and have him go through everybody. Have him go through every top guy in WWE. There's still a match to do with Goldberg. You can do a rematch with Drew McIntyre. You could do a match with a babyface Seth Rollins. Like, you got
Big
a lot
E.
of different matches you could do. Big E. There's so many
Right.
possibilities now. And then eventually The Rock. That's what you want to build up to. That's the biggest match you can do. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, versus The Rock. Roman Reigns, to get the most impact out of that match, Roman Reigns should not be losing that title until he faces The Rock. And even then, I would argue that Reigns should beat The Rock too. And the guy to eventually beat Roman Reigns
It's the guy they should build. Yes.
the next top superstar of the company. I mean, that's what I would do at least. Mike D sent in a $5 super chat. And by the way, if there's nobody ready to take that spot, then keep the title on Reigns until you got somebody. And I mean, in that case, it might never be a scenario where the title changes, but we'll see. Mike D sent in a $5 super chat. He says, what match would you rather see, Roman versus The Rock or Roman Reigns versus CM Punk? Ooh, that's now see,
Both.
Rock would be a bigger match, I think, as far as mainstream goes. But for me personally, I kind of would prefer CM Punk just because CM Punk coming back is something that seems like it's never going to happen. And we all know The Rock will always be part of the WWE family. You know, when he comes back, it's no big surprise. But CM Punk coming back, man, that would
Could you imagine, Aaron? I think we talked about this. Reigns had that monster long run, beats The Rock at Mania, still has it. Punk comes back and is the one that takes it from him. Creative control. I mean, yeah, we're talking winning the lottery, right? But still.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes against like the next top star winning the title, but yeah, CM Punk coming back, sign me up.
He's been gone so long, it's like he's new again.
I would very much approve of that.
All right, is everybody ready for the main event?
Let's do it.
Main event time. Rumors out there, you know, Edge. We got to have Edge come back for SummerSlam, and Seth Rollins just beat Cesaro, and why not have a heel Seth Rollins versus whether he's who knows where Seth Rollins is going, and is Edge heel or just really, you know, an angry veteran? But we could have this match at SummerSlam. Is this the best choice for Edge? Aaron talked about having a babyface Rollins versus Reigns at some point. Could this help turn Rollins babyface again? So, Colin, I'm going to start with you on this main event. Is Edge versus Seth a good option for Edge for SummerSlam? Do you think that we'll see Edge, right? I'm sure we will.
Yeah, I think we will, and I think it's a great option. I don't know if you guys have lined up their accolades, but they're both WWE champions, Universal champion. I mean, we're just going to count that as one thing. You know, we have 6-time tag champ for Rollins, United States championship, Intercontinental champion, Gold Rush tournament in 2012, Men's Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, Triple Crown champion, the whole nine. Same thing with Edge. Trade out, you know, NXT champ for King of the Ring. You have Grand Slam champion, Triple Crown champion, you know, 12-time tag champ, United States champion, Intercontinental champion, a 11-time world champion. Their accolades are very similar. And, you know, they were both part of groups for a while because remember Edge came in solo, then joined the Brood. Well, remember NXT, Seth Rollins was solo before joining up with the Shield. And they were both 3-man groups and they ran, you know, Brood was like, 8 months or so, but still, they're just very similar. And I think their match would, you know, no pun intended, would burn it down. It would be great. I'm all for it, hands down. Let's do it, book it, take my money or my $10, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And let's do it, man. Give me some buffalo wings and send me on my way.
SummerSlam's got to be huge. You're going to have it at this big stadium, the football stadium in Vegas. So, you know, why not have as many big matches as possible? Treat it like WrestleMania.
I'm going to treat it like my birthday party because my birthday is like 2 weeks beforehand. So that's going to be my, you know, have food and just hang out. And I'm super looking forward to SummerSlam, more than Money in the Bank.
Now, Big G, what about you?
Yes. What about me? Okay.
What about you? What's your thoughts here in this situation?
Rollins versus Edge would be tremendous. I would love it. They could sprinkle the seeds from the cutting edge a couple years back where Rollins had curb stomped Edge when Edge was still technically retired. Too bad Christian's not in WWE anymore because we could have had a match at Extreme Rules, Christian versus Seth Rollins, to even further build the feud between the two. But them talking, going back and forth should be awesome. They're both great on the mic. I like, Seth Rollins, his new gimmick going forward. Edge just being the veteran, kicking ass, taking names, but it'll be one hell of a match. I am down for it.
All right. Now, you think we'll 100% for sure see Edge for SummerSlam? I mean, we have to. He's not hurt or anything, right? Big G?
Huh?
Were you not listening? When it's not your turn anymore, do you just completely disassociate yourself from the review?
No, I'm seeing these comments from Vito. I'm getting distracted.
Wow, Vito's working you over. Oh, and you just acknowledged it. We got to see Edge 100% at SummerSlam, right? Makes sense?
Yeah.
I'm asking you. Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron, over to you.
I'm dying, dude. These are so good. I'm sorry.
Anyways.
Vito, are you going to super chat?
Yes.
We'll read your comment. We'll read your comment if you super chat.
We will. Whatever you want to say, we'll put it up. Edge versus Seth Rollins is a match that I am definitely looking forward to. It's one of the few matches I would like to see Edge in for the remainder of his time as a wrestler in WWE. There are a few options. You got AJ Styles over on Raw, I think would be a really fun match. Edge versus Rollins seems like a very logical match for SummerSlam. Rollins is the next top heel after Roman Reigns, and that's one of the matches people were talking about. When Edge came back to the ring, people were saying, well, let's do this. Let's do Edge versus Seth Rollins as a match. Now, I know there are some people that think, oh, Rollins is going to hurt Edge, what happened with John Cena and what happened with Sting, but I think Edge will be fine. Edge has been in some very physical matches since coming back, and I'm sure he can hold his own in the ring. I'm totally cool with it. And Edge is another guy that could also be up against Roman Reigns in a singles match. And that's all I got to say about that. We need Caitlin here to take care of Vito. But
right.
Otherwise,
Vito's spamming our chats. Vito, this is the time. Spam. Yeah, this is the time we need our chats because they're going to start super chatting to annoy Big G here. But great show. We talked about it. Here's my thoughts. I like Rollins' character. I know probably more so the last few months when the wardrobe's been getting weirder and weirder. But let's do this. Have this match, have all the big matches you can for SummerSlam. That's what I want to see. And if it means Edge versus Rollins, why not? So,
hold on.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Walter sent in a $3 super chat. Says, who should win and how long should the program go? Good question there. I think whoever is going to be facing Reigns would be the best choice to win that match. Now, knowing WWE, they may go back and forth with wins. They might do the 50-50 booking. I could see them doing a rematch at the next pay-per-view after that, Clash of Champions, and then maybe another one at Survivor Series. They might drag that thing out for 3 or 4 months. Who knows at this point? But I would go for the first match, probably Edge, because Edge lost at WrestleMania, and I think he needs to get a win. And if you're going to do Edge versus Reigns again, I think Edge would benefit more from the win. I would probably do the one-on-one match at some point between Roman Reigns and Edge just to do the one-on-one match and have it done.
Right.
Because the one with Bryan, triple threat match, not the same as a one-on-one match. So anyways.
Yeah, I think Edge should go over if they have the match.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yep.
All right. Well,
now,
Vito completely
Chico, move your ironing board.
Live stream here.
Yeah, I don't see everybody got spammed
Everybody
out of
went silent in the chat room. The chat room has completely died.
it's only Vito. Vito is only mean, what, a hardcore champion in WCW 2000? I mean, come on. But he did point out, Big G, is that a surfboard or an ironing board behind you?
It's an ironing board.
I know. All right, so let's see if we can close the show. Maybe Vito was here so we can get this show over with. We're going to go around and do our plugs. And we all know how this goes. Aaron, what do you like to call this part? No DQ After Dark?
No DQ After Dark.
All right, we'll see if Vito's spam of the chat actually lets me get out of here. So,
Nah,
Colin,
I think Vito fell asleep. It's his bedtime.
Colin, welcome to the No DQ review, your first time ever being back on a video with us. So take it away with your plugs.
All right. If you want to follow me on Twitter, nodq.com/Colin takes you right to my Twitter page. You want to follow my YouTube channel, it's the Cleaver Colin Andrew. I haven't really put up content. As some of you know, I've been recovering from surgery, so haven't really been wanting to be in front of the camera. So thanks for having me. This has been fun. Hopefully we can do it again. Good chat, and yeah, man, thanks.
All right. Well, great having you on. And, of course, now over to Ironing Board G.
Yes, you can follow me at nodq.com/BigBallerG. That'll take you to my Twitter page. And you can follow me on TikTok at BigBallerG1988. That it is it for me.
All right. Short and sweet. And, of course, over to Aaron. I did see one super chat pop in, but maybe that's it.
Mike D sent in a $2 super chat, says, bring Vito back on the review. Well, considering we were over 100 live viewers and now we're under since Vito came in, I'm not sure that's a good idea. But thank you for the super chat, Mike D. I do appreciate it. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
It was probably the AEW and Tony Khan sympathizers that watch us because Vito's associated with Russo. So I'm sure when they saw him, they jetted. Oh, super
right.
chat.
Walter Cruz, where's the Big G trivia? We always have the Big G trivia every week, and nobody's biting this week. All right, Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat, says, for everyone who should beat Roman, and who do you want it to be? As far as who I want it to be, like, again, whoever that next top guy is, I don't know who that is right now, but
if they push Big E correctly in the next couple of months, I would go with Big E.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. There's a lot of time between now and WrestleMania in Dallas. Regardless of who beats Reigns, I don't think Reigns should lose it until after WrestleMania. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree, but I'm cool with somebody having a long title reign. We haven't seen long title reigns in many years.
Say that happens, Aaron, and they want to finally make a new star, right? And he holds it for a long time. And I don't know how it would work. Maybe he could become a babyface. Karrion Kross, main roster. They take their time with him, push him right, and then he's the guy. Well, he wins the Royal Rumble, he beats Roman, ends the reign. I can
see that too.
I'm just throwing that out there because I'm trying to think of somebody that they could build to pass the torch to. I don't know.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth on that. Like, I'm not sure what they're doing with Karrion Kross, but he could definitely be
and there should be plenty of time from now to then to have to do it right.
Exactly.
So,
all right, we do have a $2 super chat from Psycho.
They're coming in now.
Your favorite Bob Dylan songs and albums?
That's all you, Virtue.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, that's all you.
Like, I like Forever Young. I love Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Knocking on Heaven's Door. Forever Young. He had Times Are Changing, Blowing in the Wind. Those are all cliche. It Ain't Me, Babe. Like a Rolling Stone was an epic rock song. I know he's not the greatest singer in the world, and especially as he got older, his voice is atrocious. But those early songs, like when he was 20, just unbelievable songwriting, and it worked. It was folk music. And
highly influential. I mean, the Beatles definitely were influenced by
my favorite Dylan song, though, is Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. It's a heartbreak song, but it's deep. It cuts you. It's awesome.
All right. I think we're done here. We're ready to call it a night. Big Vito.
All right.
Yeah, Big Vito.
He got him all in. So
he's good now.
Follow me on Twitter if you dare at – oh, okay. There's another one.
Well,
Just keep on going, Virtue.
You get two plugs now. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat, says, I want the family to have all the titles, add Naomi. Yes. 100% agree with that.
We've been saying it forever. Yep. Add
I've
her
been
up.
saying that.
Yep.
It's going
I'm
to
fine
be
with
said
that.
for a long time, probably. Maybe the draft, we get Naomi back on SmackDown. I'm hoping.
And then the Usos go back to Raw.
Probably.
I agree with that. Okay, follow me on Twitter if you dare, at NoDQ_Virtue, Troll Slayer, Debate King, Virtue's Rage, whatever you want to call me. We'll have fun. If you take it too seriously, you'll block me. You'll go crying to mom and dad, whatever. But for Big G, for Colin, for Aaron Rift, this has been the NoDQ review number 144. I am Virtue, the moderator. It's been fun, and I can't wait to do it again next week. Later, everybody.